Okay, within this video, what we'll be looking at is primarily to do with Alfawise U30 and its 3D print modifications that I have added to my own printer. But I will also go through a quick version of what I've done in Autodesk Tinkercad. And within Autodesk Tinkercad, you can see in my last video I did the keychain. As you can see, the designs were designed in Tinkercad itself, and the keychain designs I've gone through multiple iterations, including the fridge magnet there, the elephants as well. And these designs were actually done in Tinkercad by myself. I haven't printed every design that I have created in here. I've still to print the pen holder on there, and I believe there's another pen holder somewhere here, and a Lego man as well. So some of these things that I'm still to print. I haven't designed everything within Tinkercad itself. I have found some of the designs somewhere else, but I will walk you through the designs that I have actually designed myself as well. At the end of the video, once we finish with the software, what I will do is I will show you the actual 3D printed items that I've used for my Alfawise U30 printer. So let's go through these. First of all, the keychain designs, again, I've shown you, and the elephants, but I'm not going to go through those because the video is primarily about the U30 Alfawise printer modifications. The bus that's printed in place, the Rubik's Cube 1x3 is printed in place as well. And what I've done in Tinkercad primarily for the U30 is design the U30 TL smoother holder. I've got 3 individual designs here. I've actually gone for this particular design at the end. With the first design, I had in Tinkercad, I had a bit of issues. I printed the first design off, and what actually happened was the pins were slightly offset, and I couldn't actually set the PCB directly onto these pins, so I had to remeasure and redesign the thing. As you can see, there was a lid as well that I designed. There was a problem with the lid, which I will show you when I show you the prints, and I'll talk you through. I haven't actually made use of the lid at the end, and I found that it's better to leave the container open and accessible, so that all the leads actually fit in very easily, which I will show you at the end of this demo, or near the end. Then because the first print sort of showed me that I've wasted a lot of filament in designing the entire thing, what I ended up doing was I ended up creating a Lego style click fit design here, which you can see. And what happens with this actual Lego style click fit design is that you're meant to just design the TL smoother holder for one PCB only, instead of the 4 PCB in one go. That way you're only printing that one PCB. Once you get your precise measurements and the PCB actually sits in there, you can actually either expand it to 4 in one go, or actually click fit these together, all 4 together, and probably glue them in just in case if they're slightly misaligned or loose. But I will show you this click fit design. Again, the lid wasn't as good, and I found the lid the lid closing pins sort of snapped off very easily. Maybe because that was because I was using PLA instead of ABS, and you're actually meant to use ABS within this for any prints that you do for the printer. I have actually made use of PLA, and I haven't bought the ABS. But this is the PCB design that actually worked, and I've used this. So as you can see underneath, there's a click fit. This pin actually slots into there if I were to have another one and another one and so on. So I can put 4 of them together, and it turned out that it was a bit loose, so I would have to glue them in so it could stay firmly in place, or just tighten up on the prints. for those click fits. And this was the better design. These pins actually held the board in place, and it was a better design. From this, what I did was I went back and created all 4 in one go, then printed the main section, everything using matter control. And I'll show you just right now, so it's as a quick fix to how I sort of adapted that and created all 4 in one go. But I have done the prints for the Lego click fit style as well, and had a look at how that concept would work, and I will show you that again at the end of the video. It is a bit slow at the moment with this Tinkercad. Because this is online, you will find that sometimes it will run only as fast as your connection or your computer will allow, the processor. Okay, there we go. So I won't actually go into this design itself, but you will see this design outside here in the environment. I will take you through to the design in matter control because I have opened it up in matter control. The actual design that I used for my TL smoother holder was this particular one, and it is the one that I felt was the best suited. So we can see very quickly here, just outside of the environment, just loading the shape up. This one actually does fit all the 4 chips, the PCBs onto the TL smoother PCBs into the holder and in its rightful place without any movement whatsoever. As long as you've printed it right, it will work for the Alfawise U30. The one thing I do need to mention here is with the Alfawise U30 printer, there were 2 types of chips. There was a Go Coma and the Alfawise TL smoother chips. The Alfawise ones didn't work well for me from GearBest, so I had to purchase the Go Coma. I will explain what happened between those 2 chips, and I'll explain why the Go Coma seem to have worked better as well. I haven't noticed any noticeable difference within the chips itself once I've installed it in terms of the prints. However, it may be specific to a style of print that I haven't yet considered printing at all, and that might be the reason why the TL Smoother hasn't had any effect on any of the prints that I've done since. Okay, but this is the design that I've actually printed. So have a look at that in matter control now. But I am quite fond of Tinkercad because it's very quick and easy to design things in here. So have a look at that yourself. Let's go. I'm just going to close that now and open up matter control. Basically, on matter control, what I've done is I've used other people's designs and concepts as well as create my own. One of the designs I've used is the U30 cable clip, which was designed by someone else. I will upload that on my website as an STL file, but I will also mention the fact that it's something that I've taken from Thingiverse website as well. If you want to find the original file itself, you will find it at Thingiverse. But this is the U30 clip that works very well for Alfawise printer, and I have printed this, and I've actually printed 4 clips, which I will show you, all attached onto my Alfawise U30 printer. And this clip is very, very good, very easy fit, and I've managed to print it, use it very quickly as well. What I do with my Alfawise U30 printed things is I didn't want to spend 2 hours, 3 hours printing up one single clip. So what I did is to speed up the process. I actually printed this at 0.4mm thickness as opposed to 0.1, which is the recommended thickness by the person who designed this, and it literally takes 3 to 4 hours. It's just ridiculous amount of time for a clip that's going to hold the cable itself, and I've just printed it at 0.4. It doesn't have that smoothness or the crisper finish that a 0.1 will have. However, it is much better and much quicker to have it print at 0.4 and still retain the element of being a clip, and it is still a quality clip anyway nonetheless. Once you see it on my printer, you will believe that 0.4 printing quality isn't all that bad in terms of the thickness of the layers that it prints on there. Okay, the other thing that I've used is this cable clip that sits directly on top of the extruder motor. So filament extruder motor allows, this holds the cable that's going directly to the filament extruder, and it is something that I found useful. Again, this was designed by someone else, so that's one of the other things that I've borrowed from Thingiverse as well. Here, this is my own design that I showed you for the TL smoother. I did find a TL smoother design somewhere else, but I didn't quite like their designs, and it didn't sort of suit my needs for the Alfawise U30, so I created my own design here, and I'll show you why, because everyone else seems to have attached their TL smoother chips elsewhere on their printer, whereas I needed to attach it in a specific place underneath the printer, and this is where I've placed this TL smoother with the exact measurements. It is worth my while doing this myself, because it's in a spot where it's not getting in the way of anything else, and it was well worth it for me to do this. The other thing that I designed myself was this one, the Alfawise touchscreen back cover. So there's a PCB screen that's totally exposed behind the touchscreen, and it needed this screen protector sort of, so that it don't pull out any cables or anything by accident. And I sort of designed this myself in matter control. This was actually designed in the matter control environment here and printed through here as well. So this design doesn't require any supports whatsoever, because the way it's designed, as long as you make sure you print it this way and in this orientation as well, when you send it to your printer, make sure you leave it in this orientation. You can see these gaps, it will basically print through those gaps as well very easily, and it's a very good quality print as well. So again, everything that I've done for the printer was at 0.4mm thickness, layer thickness. That was one of my own designs. I'll show you the TF card holder. Again, this was one of my own designs, which I will put up as well. This one I designed in matter control and printed it from matter control as well to create the G-code file. Again, this hangs directly beneath the touchscreen itself, and the TF card, because I didn't want to hold the TF card, turn the printer around to stick the TF card at the back, I had an extension lead come through the front, but it was just loose, and basically I needed something to hold that TF card hole in there. And this is what I came up with, which is actually held in place by two bolts underneath the touchscreen holder. And the beauty of this is, whether you have the touchscreen on the left or the right, you can still fit it in regardless of which side you have the touchscreen. The TF card holder will work for the Alfawise U30, and it's very good design, but I felt that it was worth my while as well, trying to go through these designs. This is a hot end bed cable clip holder. This is the back, at the rear of the hot end bed. There's a cable that's coming out, and it needs that lift slightly and to hold it in place. And I've made use of this as well, and at the back of the hot end bed to hold the cable in place. This was designed by someone else. Again, I've taken this from the Thingiverse website, which I've downloaded, and I will put up on my website as well. And I'll also mention the fact that I've taken it from Thingiverse, so you can have a look at it yourself. There were other things like the bed knobs, which I will show you at the end of this video as well. I'm just going to show you in matter control right now. so you can have a look at these. I'm just going to close some of these so I can get these onto there. Okay, here we go. These are two bed knobs that I've made use of again, and what I've noticed, the larger bed knob here is a good design, yet it was basically, it got in the way with the y-axis motor. The motor at the back that moves the y-axis. The bed knob, when it's placed at the back, it actually touches the y-axis motor when the bed actually moves right the way back. So I didn't use the large bed knobs for the U30. It was designed for the U20, and it sort of gets in the way for the U30, so I didn't make use of that. However, there was another smaller bed knob design, and it's actually marked with small bed knob there, which I've made use of, and it was one of the better designs that I thought allows you to sort of move the bed knob very easily on the printer. So I'll show you these designs now at the end of this software demo. So once I've finished with this, so basically these are the key things that I've made improvements on for the printer itself. I will explain the things that I've had difficulty with, and I will also explain what went wrong with these items as well. But they were all printed at 0.4mm thickness, and the quality is reasonable at that print. For what you want it to do, you don't want to spend hours trying to get your printer up to scratch. It's literally up to you how you want to do this, but I prefer it to be printed at 0.4mm layer thickness as opposed to 0.1. Okay, that's matter control quick demo, but I will do a full demo on matter control with one of the prints that I'm going to do later on, and hopefully you will look into that with me. So I'm going to stop this demo here. Okay, so let's continue with the demo outside of the software and Windows operating system. These are the items that I was talking about on there, and the designs. The actual finished designs I have come up with, and what you will notice, the things that I've made use of. But before I start, I will show you some of the problems I've had when I was printing these things. And this was the card holder that was of Thingiverse that I tried to make use of. One thing, what I did was I stopped it halfway. As you can see, it's still unfinished. But the problem with this one was the slot holder there was too wide, and I couldn't make it any narrower than it was there. So I tried to design my own in its place. And when I designed my own in its place, the first design I came up with was this one. And you can see it's got Alfawise U30 on the side as well, written there. And it was a reasonable design. It actually fits well, and it sits well as well. The only problem was it was a bit shorter in length in that respect there. So what I did when I redesigned this was make it a tad longer, such that it will actually fit the TF card holder, or the SD card holder, perfectly within below the screen on Alfawise, so below the touch screen. The bed knob that I was talking about, the large bed knob, was this particular one here. And what you will notice is, again, this bed knob is printed at 0.4mm thickness. The only thing I've got, again, at the time I wasn't aware that I had to slow the print down, but I got sort of a bit of a jump between on the Z axis whilst it was printing, and these jumps could have been cured had I known that I needed to slow the prints down marginally. If I would have slowed the prints down marginally, a 0.4mm thickness would have given me a better, crisper finish on these things. So that's one thing I've noticed through experience alone, and using the software and the printer itself, the 3D printer itself. This was one of my first failed prints for the TL smoother holder, and what happened with this was the pins were too tall inside to hold the PCB in, and so what I did is on one of the sections I actually cut those pins down and tried to put the PCB on there. One of the pins actually sits very well, the other two pairs don't, so it was sort of out of alignment as well, and I needed to sort of realign those. And I came up with the concept that if I only need 2 pins to hold the PCB, not 4. And so what I did was remove 2 pins completely and have 2 pins diagonally on the new PCB to hold on the new TL smoother holder. So you will see that within my print itself. So I have designed that. The second design was itself these were the Lego style click fit prints that I did. Again, on here you will probably only see, if you get in closer there, what you will see are 2 pins diagonally there that will hold the PCB, and that's the only size of the pins that I needed in order for them to fit comfortably and sit in there comfortably as well. And there was the other one there. So I've only printed 2 of these, ideally just to show the concept of them being slotted in together at the front and at the back. So at the back it will hold like that, and it is something that allowed me to design this very quickly and make sure that I'm not printing a larger size like that and wasting a lot more filament over this. So the idea was to print one of them and not waste filament. If something goes wrong, I can print another one very easily and not waste too much filament. If I were to print the entire block and something goes wrong, then I've wasted a lot of filament there. So I started adapting myself to the way I print these things. So ClickFit, again, it's very good. However, it is quite loose. The key thing here would be to actually, I mean, if it's loose, you may have to redesign the concept on how to click fit it. As ideally, it would be that. But if all else fails, what you would do is use glue, super glue or glue. Just put a dab of glue there onto the pin and just click fit it in, glue it together. And that's one of the things that I did consider at the end. However, because I had the pins right in the right sections, what I did was create all 4 slots in one go and opted to print something along those lines and use that, which I will show you in my printer now. But the other thing was the lids. This was one of the case. There were 2 lids that I designed. The first one had a thinner holder that would hold the lid in there through these slots. It would click fit in. But however, what happened was these pins actually snapped off very easily. The 2 pins on there, you can see they've broke very easily. They were too thin and broke very easily. So what I did was redesign it with a stronger pins. Again, more thicker pins. You can see these on this lid, there were more thicker pins. They snapped off very easily as well. That's purely because I believe it was PLA and not ABS. ABS is a more hardened plastic than PLA is, and requires higher temperatures to for FDM, fused disposition modeling. So again, I would recommend you, if you want something stronger, then you would use ABS. But for me, PLA, because I've bought quite a lot of PLA filament, and I haven't used that much. For the printer, I've used the PLA filament only, and haven't bought ABS, which is like big downer for me, unfortunately. But let me just take this camera in closer and show you all the mods that I've actually done. So what I will do here is, if I can switch the camera around, let's just stop that. Okay, as you can see, there's the Alfawise U30 printer. I'm going to just swing this camera around and show you the things I've made use of here, the designs I've printed and the modifications that I've printed for the printer. There's the Alfawise back end cover. I'm just going to walk you around the back and show you that it is my own print and design. If you can see there how the cable just slots out, and the V slots that allow it to allow the air to flow behind it. There's the cable clip here, these cable clips there, you can see very easily. I've only made use of 4 cable clips to hold the TF card cable clip and the touchscreen cable clip along the end where it actually needs to go to the back of the printer itself. And there's my TF card from the back of the printer. Again, moving around to the front, that cable clip allowing the TF card cable to be held in place. And there is my design. As you can see, the 2 bolts that hold the Alfawise U30 card holder very neatly here at the front, which I make use of. And I did leave it outside a bit. I didn't want it to sit in perfectly, because it does give it that feel that you need. Because if you wanted to pull the TF card out, you can click it out and then take the card out as well very easily. If it sat further in, I think it would be more difficult to take this card out yourself. And there's the printer. Okay, TF card reader. The other thing here that I've designed, as you can see, and I've attached the bed knob clips there, buttons there. They're very easy to turn now. You're not faffing about with the smaller buttons underneath the printer itself. And I've placed this on all 4 corners of the bed knobs. And there's a back end cable holder. There's the hot end cable holder just been above the bed knob itself. There it is, that fits along there, across there, and cable ties are holding this cable, hotbed cable, in place. And that's one of the other clips that I've made use of. The final clip that I've made use of here is this particular one. As you can see, the extruder motor cable clip here, that's that one there, just across there, holding the cable in place using a cable tie just across there. The problem with this one was because it was printed quite thin, and when I sort of put it on, you might be able to catch that it's split across there. You will see that the cable clip actually split there marginally, but I've left it in until it sort of completely snaps off to have a look that whether it will hold it in place. So I might consider redesigning this myself. The design that someone provided wasn't adequate enough to me, and it's something that I'm currently debating whether to do or not. For now, it is holding it in place and it hasn't broken off for a couple of prints that I've done so far. So I will leave that as it is. But that is all the modifications that I have for you for the Alfawise U30 printer, and hopefully you will find these useful just as much as I found some of these very useful and made use of them myself. The designs that I've done, I've tried to make them better and more firmer finish, so hopefully you will find these useful as well, these 2 things. So if you like these sort of videos, hopefully please give likes on my YouTube channel and subscribe to the video as well channel. Thanks.